Hi, my name is Noemi. I am in Bill's Advanced Neurophysiology course, and in this presentation, I will be discussing Chapter 3 of Phantoms in the Brain, and particularly the mirror box effect and the mechanisms behind why it works. So the mirror box was invented by Ramachandran in order to alleviate his patients of phantom limb pain. It's also known as mirror visual feedback, which I will refer to as MVF. The visual system is indeed very powerful. Studies have shown that it can override hearing, such as in the McGurk effect, proprioception, and touch, which could partly explain why mirror visual feedback works without the missing limb needing to feel touch or the brain needing afferent feedback. For example, researchers had a patient with the proprioception of a swollen limb, which had its size reduced simply by putting his hands in the box and seeing his smaller normal limb, which shows the override effect of vision. So in his book, Ramachandran explained the mechanism behind PLP as this. So the motor cortex says to clench the fist, and normally afferent feedback says to stop clenching it. But without it, the motor system says clench more, clench more, clench more, which would be painful. And pain is perceived because there is no feedback to tell it to stop, and no actual limb to tell the brain that there is no pain. And this theory is actually supported by current data. So research says that the absence of negative feedback can actually lead to pain memories being amplified. So the arm isn't causing more pain in itself by virtue of it not being there, but it's also not telling pain to stop either. And the mirror box works because it provides this missing afferent input in the form of visual feedback. So seeing the phantom limb unclenching and moving and unparalyzed provides visual input of proprioception despite there actually not being any. And this results in a restored body image. Now, if this were the only mechanism behind the mirror box effect, then the phantom limb pain will return as soon as it's removed. Yet we have seen countless cases such as Philip Martinez in Ramachandran's book, where after repeated use of the box over a few weeks, most of his phantom limb and his pain disappeared, even without the box. And this is because using it actually results in long-term reorganization of cortical maps. So CRT is the most widely accepted theory, where a new area of the face takes over the somatosensory area once reserved for the missing limb. And so repeated use of the box over a few weeks causes the contralateral somatosensory cortex to return to baseline. Therefore, the representation between the two cortices becomes more similar. So by using the box, it actually causes structural and functional rewiring of the brain back to how it used to be. Another theory is that mirror therapy works due to the activation of mirror neurons in the hemisphere opposite the phantom limb. So when you put in the hand in the box, the mirror neurons are activated, but they are also activated by watching another person. In a particular study, a researcher stroked the arm of somebody else, and the person with the phantom limb actually had pain reduction simply by looking at it. V.S. Ramachandran kind of touched on this with his diabolical experiments where Mary and Karen thought that their phantom limb was being contorted and they felt pain, when in actuality it was a student's hand instead. But he didn't go further into the possible clinical implications of mirror neurons in watching other people. Despite all of this, it is important to mention that every single article I read emphasized that the mechanisms behind why the mirror box effect works are not fully known, despite having 60 to 93% efficacy depending on which article you reference.